Well, that was something, wasn't it? An unfortunate something, not a good way to start the post-Christmas schedule. As the Blazers look good for one half, they look very bad for another. And in the one that they looked bad, the Clippers took advantage, outscored them by 24 points, and they grab a 119-103 victory over the Blazers here in Moda tonight. Welcome into the fifth quarter. Chris Burkhardt here with you. If you'd like to join the conversation with us, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. And, of course, you can hit us up on the text line 88528 or head on over to youtube.com. Type in Rip City Radio and join the chat there where, you know, the fifth quarter means the quarterback. That's right, the quarterback. I don't know why they call me the quarterback. They just started doing it, and it works for me, even though I played running back. And I don't know. But, man, run is what the Blazers did tonight. We talked about it in the pregame show, that the way to beat this Clippers team was to run, to push tempo, to catch them off guard, and that is definitely what the offense was doing in the first half. They were moving the ball well. They were pushing that tempo. And I was telling you, too, that like, running doesn't necessarily mean running up and down the court fast. You can have a fast offense just within your half-court sets, and there was a lot of movement, a lot of sharing of the ball. The Blazers outscored the Clippers 35-25 in the first quarter. They opened on a 12-3 run. Denny had 7 of those 12 points. He had 13 points at the end of the quarter, and the Blazers were shooting 66.7%. In the second quarter, the Clippers started to claw back. They cut it to a 52-50 lead as Lopez hit his fifth three-pointer of the night. There was still more to come. But the Blazers answered the timeout by going on a 9-0 run, and that was a Murray jam followed by a Love 3, followed by a Toumani Camara putback jam that was absolutely beautiful, and then a Shaedon Sharpe breakaway jam. Things were looking good, and the double team was working defensively. The Blazers ended up with a 62-56 lead at the half. Denny Avdia had 17. Shaedon Sharpe had 12. Brook Lopez, turning back the clock, he had 19. But then the third quarter happened. It was sloppy. The Blazers had 5 turnovers early, led to 8 Clippers points off those turnovers. The Clippers stormed back. They tied the game at 72-72 with 4:35 left. The Blazers' offense was falling apart. Their defense struggled. Brook Lopez went on to hit his 9th 3 of the game, which was a career high for the big man. And the Clippers outscored the Blazers 29-16 to lead 85-78 after 3. The 16 points, the lowest scoring third quarter of the season for the Trailblazers, tied for their lowest scoring quarter overall. They scored just 16 points in the fourth quarter against San Antonio back on November 26th. Then the rest of the game played out, and the Blazers scored 25 points in the fourth quarter, but they also scored most of those late in the fourth quarter as the Clippers were kind of calling off their dogs. At one point, there was a timeout, and the Blazers had gone just 3 of 15 from the floor to start the quarter. Meanwhile, the Clippers were taking advantage and getting out to a big lead. Final score 119-103. The second half tonight, the Blazers scored 41 points total. That is their lowest scoring half of the entire season. Meanwhile, the 62 that they scored in the first half was, I think, their 9th highest scoring quarter or a half. So they went from a very good first half to a very, very poor second half. Interestingly enough, the 2 lowest scoring halves of the year for the Blazers are 41 tonight against the Clippers and 47 back on October 26th, so exactly 2 months ago, against this very same Clippers team. So I don't know how well they are adjusting to the second half adjustments that Tyronn Lue and company are putting on them. But again, it was overall just a rough night. At least a rough second half for the Blazers, and a great first half. That's exactly what they need to do, and just couldn't do it. They just couldn't get it done. As Chadley says in the text line, I still love my Blazers. We all still love the Blazers, absolutely. But then, of course, one of our texters says sarcastically, I'm really glad Thiago came out with a defensive plan on Lopez. Really disappointed. And at some point, too, like I don't know if that was as much Thiago as it was just some of the players on the court. Like, it was just like, what are we doing? Like, coach can tell you so many times, you got to guard a guy. Well, you know what? They have to do that. They have to listen to you. They have to guard him. Donovan Clingan was letting far too many wide open shots out there, and Toumani Camara couldn't get through and was letting wide open shots out there. It was just kind of just terrible defensive execution, especially late in that game. So I don't know what the heck was going on there. And of course, Thiago Splitter obviously doesn't like what was going on there. It's just one of those things. Like, as I tweeted out a couple times too, like, just don't let him shoot. Just don't let him shoot. Like, pretty simple. Don't let him shoot. Maybe don't do that. Maybe do your best to stop him. But, sometimes it's hard to do. It's hard to do. We have another text here says, who still loves the Blazers when they lose? Everybody. And you should too. I know who sent that one. You should too. Here's the deal. You guys know me. You guys know me. You could cut my arm open. It will bleed green and yellow. I'm a Duck fan through and through. I love them when they lose. So I just love my team no matter what. Just the results might be terrible sometimes, and you might not like that. You still love your team. That's what keeps you coming back. You want to know who loves this team when you lose? You do too. You do, Timmy. You know you do. You know you do. Don't even pretend like you don't. However, that doesn't mean that you can't be a little upset when losses like this happen, because realistically, friends, there's just no reason that the Clippers should have won this game. They were without their starting center, who's a very good center, mind you. They were down their leading rebounder without him, and a team that doesn't rebound the ball very well anyway, and you let Brook Lopez turn back the clock. You let Brook Lopez go off, absolutely go off. Brook Lopez finished the night 9 of 16 from the floor, 14 of those shots coming from beyond the arc, and he ended with 31 points. To lead not all scorers, to not even lead the Clippers, because James Harden had 34. Kawhi Leonard chipped in 28. Those are the only 3 Clippers in double figures, by the way. Like, think about that for a second. 119 points, only 3 players in double figures, all 3 of them with 28 or more. On the Blazers side of things, Toumani Camara had 20 points. Hit a couple big threes late, but again, a little too much for the team to claw back from. 10 points for Donovan Clingan, 29 points from Denny Avdia. A lot of those coming late. Shaedon Sharpe had 16. Caleb Love had 14 off the bench. And when we were talking in the pregame show about the Chris's crispy crunch time performances, I brought up Shea and I brought up Clingan specifically, how he needed them to have big games tonight. You needed the points and the rebounds. You needed Shaedon Sharpe to find a way to get offensively flowing like he had been in the previous few weeks, and neither one of them really did get it going, and that's just unfortunate. Absolutely unfortunate. I just don't know what it is. Dennis says, can we get some players who can play hard, shoot the ball? Any update on Grant, Scoot, Thibault? No update on them, unfortunately. It's very, very unfortunate, because there hasn't been a lot of news coming out on that front. But Coach, reiterated tonight, is there any, he was asked specifically what's kind of holding this team back? Is it the injuries or is it something else? And he looked at Connor, the reporter asked a question, just said, injuries, my friend, injuries. And he said once again, like we've heard a couple times this year, point guard. We need a point guard. You need someone out there to run the offense. And that's absolutely true. But that's also not the only reason they lose games. And it's not the fix-all overnight. But it definitely is going to help. You need guys who can shoot the ball. You need guys who can put the ball in their hand and control the ball. I don't know if playing hard is the problem, quite honestly. I think the talent gap is the problem, Dennis. And I look at this, I was watching this game at one point, and I looked over to Sean Highkin, our Trailblazers insider. Follow him on social, at Highkin, if you haven't already. Follow the Rose Garden Report. He does great work there. I was like, if there's a positive to take away from these last few games, if It's the fact that the core guys, Denny, Tumani, Shaden, Clegan, they tend to play the way coach wants. At some point, though, you struggle when you have a lineup that has Shaden Sharp out there with, respectfully, Chris Murray and Ryan Rupert and Caleb Love and a Robert Williams, who I love Robert Williams, but when that's your lineup, there's not a lot of scoring in that lineup. At least not a lot of scoring you can rely upon, which comes to the other part of your comment, shooters. Like, you need shooters. Absolutely. You need guys who can come into the game, shoot the basketball off the bench. That's all they need to do. A guy that I can trust to hand the ball, and he's going to make shots. That doesn't seem like too much of a thing to ask. And, of course, we have the trade deadline and the offseason and all that stuff to come. And we'll see what they do. But it's also what happens when you miss a guy like Jeremy Grant. Like, you need him. He's been one of your best shooters all season long. So, yeah, I absolutely understand what you're laying down because it's absolutely a fair point. 100% get that. And Elijah chimes in, we have talent, no one playing hard. I think that's absolutely false. I think you had guys who played hard, but you just don't have that talent to back it up. At the end of the day, you had guys in this game tonight. Brook Lopez, Milwaukee Bucks NBA Finals experience. Kawhi Leonard, obviously the Spurs tree and the miraculous championship with Toronto. James Harden, who went toe-to-toe with the Warriors dynasty on multiple occasions in the Western Conference playoffs. One of the most tried and tested players of all time. Nick Batum, Wiley Vett. You got guys who IQ basketball can be off the charts. And then you got them going up against the young guys who, Nick Batum's been in this league as long as Ryan Rupert's been alive, basically, if you want to think about it that way. And, Elijah says, Chris Murray should not be starting. But at the same time, who are you going to start, Elijah? You don't have any point guards, so everybody from shooting guard and up has been shifted down. Denny is starting at that guard position, despite the fact that he's a forward. And you don't have Jeremy Grant. You have no real depth at that power forward spot, so you have to slot him in. You have to play somebody. You're not going to start Ryan Rupert. You're not going to start two centers. It's just, you are hampered by the injury bug. Now, is that an excuse? No, because you still want to go out there and win games. And we talked about it in the pregame show that go back. I'm paraphrasing here because I can't remember all my words. But even injury depleted, we are going into a game and playing an 8-win Clipper team who has struggled mightily throughout the year. Play with effort, you should beat them. And the Blazers played with effort for that first half. In the second half, Ty Lue made an adjustment. Blazers did not adjust to that adjustment quick enough. Lead got out of hand. The guys who were going ran out of gas, and the other guys just didn't have that talent to keep them in it. That's just the unfortunate, fact of the matter. You need bodies, you need health. I'm not even talking about the talent that they bring for a second, but let's just look. Drew Holiday, Matisse Thybulle, Blake Wesley, Damian Lillard, who we know is not going to play, but Jeremy Grant. That's half your team. You need bodies, my man. And not only are those bodies important, those bodies are incredibly good. We're talking about Drew Holiday. What we just talked about that the Clippers had that the Blazers didn't tonight. Well, Drew Holiday is that guy. NBA Finals. Playoff runs with the Clippers, playoff runs with the Bucks, playoff runs with the Celtics. Matisse Thybulle, all-league defender. Not hypothetical, legit all-NBA defender. Not having those guys hurts, and it hurts big time. The unfortunate part is that it's just going to be a talking point until it's not. And the only way to make it not a talking point is to get back on the court, which is something that we're all sitting here scratching our head as to when that will actually happen. I know you all want updates. I want updates. Brendan wants updates. Chad wants updates. Everybody wants updates. They're just not there. And I get the frustration. When you watch games like this and you understand that a difference between wins and losses might just very well be the injured guys on the bench. And that's not good. Not a lot of sugarcoating it. I will tell you this, though. I'm not going to call out the effort overall. Mental mistakes, yes. Effort, the guys played hard. For that first half, they were wonderful. That second half, didn't make adjustments. You got to make adjustments. But again, at some point, you got to be smart, too. I think in this one, they got out basketball IQ'd by a very smart team. And Ty Lue is a very, very good coach. Always has been. Breathe. It'll be okay. We'll get through this. I promise. This is the fifth quarter. If you want to join the conversation, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. You can also hit it up on the text line. Just text 88528. Or you can go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio. I'm getting called out. This must be when I okay, I didn't read the whole text, Bobby. We do. Okay, I just got called out for not understanding his Simpsons reference. Who loves the Blazers when they lose? Who's the refs a bad call booze? We do. The Stonecutters. I get it now that you had to say it out loud for me to actually understand it. Well done. I will give you your flowers. Good job. Another one of our texters. I thought Murray was a guy the old coach said could be counted on. Murray looked lost on defense again and breaks from three. The thing with Chris Murray is, like, I've defended him a lot because I just don't think he makes a ton of mistakes. He has been making some more mistakes as of late. A little uncharacteristic for the way he plays. I still contend that my old rear end that is way too heavy for my former athletic pride and has never had a vertical, still has more vert on his jump shot when I take one. I've never seen a guy with a jump shot with no jump in it like Chris Murray. He's come up and had some clutch rebounds and stuff, and defensively he was not terrible. He wasn't great, but yeah, he's had a couple head scratchers, absolutely. And another chimer, Blazers second half defense lately has been terrible, and I got nothing to add to that. Today it faltered. In the first half, the thing is, they were blitzing lots of the pick and rolls, double teaming up top, and it was working. It led to plenty of Clippers turnovers in the second half. Ty Lue, credit to him. The team definitely adjusted to that, and the Blazers kept going to it, and the Clippers were beating it. That was I thought, a big change in this game. And then the Blazers just kind of kept going to the well. They had to find a different plan at that point, and it took too long. Bobby chimes back in. I'm gonna go pull a hungry homer until we win a home game again. Good reference. Just hopefully you're not pulling a hungry homer because the Blazers are moving to Albuquerque. That's right. I get the reference. All right, we're going to take a quick break here on the fifth quarter. When we come back, we're going to hit you with our drive of the night, our shot of the night. Still got Coach's Corner and a game ball to hand out, all right here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Well, thank you, Elijah. I love you too. Thanks for the support. See, it's always fun. You can chime in. Maybe I agree with you, maybe I don't, but we got good discourse, a good dialogue back and forth. I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you watching. Do we need a new coach? This is the fun part about YouTube. I can talk to you during a commercial break. And I don't think so, Elijah. I actually really like Tiago Splitter. I've always liked him. I was really, really excited when they hired him as an assistant coach because I think he's a smart basketball coach, smart basketball mind, and I think he's going to get through to these guys eventually. I just think it goes back to what we said about the talent gap. You said in your text or your comment earlier, Chris Murray should not be starting, and the thing is, you're right, but that is the hand that they've been dealt. And that is very, very unfortunate. I don't know if Tiago is a problem. I think he's had to learn a little bit because of the unfortunate circumstances that put him into being the head coach right now. But I love Tiago Splitter, and I still think he's going to find success. I absolutely do. I will hang my hat on that one. And if I'm wrong in the long run, I'll own it too. But I really like Tiago Splitter. And like I said, I think he's going to find success, whether it's here or elsewhere sometime in his career. But I wholeheartedly believe he's a good basketball coach. I really, really believe that. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break here, guys. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. Welcome back into the fifth quarter. Chris Burkhardt here with you. Brendan Slaughter with me today as well, doing producer duties, and was doing some stats for the Clippers, which is a pretty fun gig out there. Shacker always tells me I could do it, and I'm like, it's a lot of work for a guy like me who is trying to pay attention. I don't know if I could do stats and do the mental notes I need to do to host the show. Also, I would be deathly afraid that I'm messing up a stat. I'm like, yeah, that's a 17-0 run, and then he looks at me, he's like, actually that was a 9-0 run. Get your stats right. I'm like, my bad. But Brendan, you're out there doing stats. Give the listener the rundown. What does stats mean? What are you doing?
Yeah, it's honestly it's awesome, Chris, and just to show that it's possible, I think there was one or two games I filled in for you and hosted Blazers game day of 5th quarter and then did stats on top of it all. So it is doable, but to your point, yeah, you're totally, like I was just telling you, like obviously we do the post-game show, but for that, couple hours during the game, you're wired in. You're watching every run, and my job is to make sure that the Clippers radio broadcaster, in this case Carlo Jimenez, has everything he needs from runs to I saw Curtis and Travis and company mention like Nick Batum's crazy plus minus tonight. All those little things. For example, Chris, coming into tonight, the Clippers were just 3-11 on the year when they were out rebounded by their opponent. Make that 4-11 now. So just lots of little things like that. Looking at the numbers. This was, I told you in the pregame, Chris, this was a game I think you had to win. You were at home. It was a single-digit team. It reminded me a lot of the matchups against the Kings. I know you've got dynamic guys in Kawhi and James Harden, but basically the way I look at it is you survive and you win this game if you can control Brook Lopez. And I did not think I would have Brook Lopez on my bingo card for 9 3-pointers tonight, Chris, but that's where we are. And, that was something, too. We were looking for that stat because, get this, we were waiting to see if he would get to number 10. Only one center ever has hit more 3-pointers in the game, and that's Karl Anthony Towns.
That's a stat.
Yeah. Crazy,
that's a stat.
Right?
And we witness history here. We witness history. The Orb, long time no see in the chat, says we're not developing, quotes, anyone. I would expect at least reasonable minutes here and there for Young Hansen, but he rarely sees the floor. I'm fully not seeing what we're supposed to look for as a positive in these games. Looks like we're just going to wear the best of them out twice as fast, leading to more injuries. And Orb, sounds like that's coming from a place of fan frustration, which I totally understand. With Young Hansen, I think if we want to be realistic, I just don't know how ready he is. Coach had a good point tonight about him defensively kind of playing the same as Donovan Clingan, so there's not a ton of versatility there. He will play on the second night at back-to-backs, but I do get what you're saying with the whole development thing. It's a hard pill to swallow when you got to be told be patient again, which I totally understand there. As for the positives, again, definitely agree it's probably hard to find a lot of them. I would say that the positive for me is that the guys who are going to be core parts of this group moving forward are playing the way you want them to. And I think when you do look at some of those stat lines and such, when the stat lines aren't what you want them to be, I think part of that, frankly, is because of who's around them and who's on the floor with them at certain times. Like, let's be completely honest, okay? If we're looking at this team and we're looking at the 3-year window even, we've talked a lot about Robert Williams and Jeremy Grant probably being trade bait. Jeremy Grant is an interesting yes, no, just because, if he fills that 6-man role, I thought he played that perfectly at the beginning of the year, but still there's trade bait there. But in 3 years, you're telling me who's on this team still? The answer is probably Shaedon Sharpe, Deni Avdija, Toumani Camara, Donovan Clingan. And those guys have been playing well. And maybe Dame is here. Maybe, as I think he wants to end the Blazers, so I would suggest he's here. And maybe Scoot's turned the corner and he's here, but Drew Holiday's probably not. But those are the big names. On the end of that, is Chris Murray here in 3 years? I don't think so. Is Ryan Repair here in 3 years? I don't think so. Is Dwap Reith here in 3 years? I don't think so. Is Caleb Love here in 3 years? I don't think so. Is Sidi Sissoko here in 3 years? I don't think so. And the guys who are going to be here, I think, have been playing extremely well. I just think that at times, given the roster makeup, it's hard to sustain any semblance of good play for a full 48 minutes just because the talent and the IQ you're giving up, the experience you're giving up. So that's what I've read as I watch this team. Like Deni, I think, has been incredible. You're right. You got to watch him a little bit. You don't want him to be injured. Toumani's been up and down, but I think Toumani is going to be best in a fully healthy lineup the way it's supposed to look. I think, for example, if you put out a lineup in there with Drew, Scoot, or Dame at point guard next to, Sharpe and Toumani, and then Deni back at power forward where he's been playing a lot this year prior to all these injuries in DC, then I think Toumani starts playing great. I like that. And so, yeah, I think those guys have been good. Now, to your Young Hansen point, I do argue that it does get a little bit head-scratching when, again, if you're to ask me who's going to be here in 3 years' time, and, like, Ryan Repair has had plenty of time to develop, and Chris Murray, the same thing. Dwap Reith is kind of who he is what he is. He's not going to get any better, but I don't see him getting any worse. Now's the time to develop Young Hansen and get him in these games. And I definitely want to see that corner turned where that's what he's playing. I don't think there's a reason to not play him. Hey, we're going to spell Klingon for a few minutes. Rob, we got to still monitor his minutes. We're going to give you 5 minutes tonight, Young, like every single night. And I also think that would be big when it comes to just a level of consistency. Like, hey, just know that every single night you're going to get 5 minutes of playing time. That's it. That's your minutes restriction. But on the nights when Rob's not playing, maybe you're going to get more. But we're going to try to get you 5 minutes a night. I do think that'd be helpful for him, and I want to see it too. We all want to see it, because as I've mentioned many times, I don't think I've seen a guy so loved without ever doing a thing. Like, he has never done a thing except get drafted. And he's so loved. People want him to do well. So I think that's where I'm at with him. And then those blowouts, I mean, they didn't put him in the last 2 games because they clawed back and almost won. So they didn't give him the best. They didn't give him the best chance to win tonight. Definitely, I think tonight of the 3 games was one you could have put him in. I think even putting Dwap Reith in for 45 seconds was weird. Just whatever. Just play the rest of your lineup that's out there. It doesn't matter. I'd be like, when I played sports, I kind of hated that. The pity sub in at the end. Hey, Burke, go out there and play the last 30 seconds. Go get him, Tiger. I don't like that. But again, yeah, to your point, and you say, that's what you're asking for. Like, yeah, I want to see him. Just go see him 5 minutes a night. See what you got. And, I go back to what I said about Donovan Klingon last year. And that was, I wanted Donovan Klingon put into spots where he was going to fail. And I got in arguments with some other people, members of the media, good faith arguments, by the way, about, you want him to be out there against the Warriors team when he can't guard the perimeter and they're going to get torched? I said, yes, because you drafted him to be the center of the future. You're going to get rid of DeAndre Ayton at some point, which ended up happening. I want him to be put in spots where he is going to fail, because I don't know about you guys, but I don't learn the most from my successes. I learn the most from my failures. You know what I'm saying? That's how you learn to get better, to make those your successes. And I wanted Donovan Klingon to be in those spots. And I kind of want Young Hansen to be thrown into those now too. Go in there and what do you got to lose? Put him in there and say, hey, you see the 7-foot dude with the shooter sleeve on? Guard him. Guard him. He's only going to go hit a career high 9 3-pointers. Guard him. Can't do any worse than what the other 2 centers are doing. Guard him. 5 minutes. Get out there. Have at it, kid. So, yeah, I get where you're laying down, and I think there's going to be at some point, maybe that does start to change, because, yeah, develop him a little bit. Get him out on the floor. I would agree. I want to see that too. All right, this is the 5th quarter. If you want to join the conversation, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. You can also hit us up on the text line at 88528, or go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, because you're like, the Orb, who the heck is he talking about? Is he making up people? I'm not. That's a guy in the YouTube chat, my usual off-site producer who tells me when, cameras are messed up and audio's wrong. That's why I appreciate him and love him, man. It's not even on the payroll, and he helps me out. That's just teamwork. That's Rip City right there. We're going to take a quick little break, though. When we come back, we're going to head to the coach's corner, hand out a game ball, and put a bow on this one, because, Brendan and I, we talked a lot about food in the pregame show. I think I'm still in, that Christmas food coma. We did the Christmas Eve party all day long, the Christmas Day party all day long. Grandma's cooking. I'm ready for a nap. Plus, the game kind of wears you out when you're like, oh, no, not again. So we're going to take a break. But before we do, it's time for your shot of the night. All right. Now that we're in a commercial break, I can come back chat with you for a second. The orb laughs. The audio is a little crispy tonight. The audio balance on this thing is so annoying. I'm being completely honest. So like here you go. We're in a commercial break, so we're behind the scenes. So there's our. Let's turn the lights off for a second. TV get boom. There you go. There's our audio board. I'm bumping. I'm perfect in my ear. Okay. This is the guy I got to monitor. This little guy. But you got to be real careful because you can go too hot real quick. And then that line comes into this little audio splitter right here. This guy. Somewhere in there. Okay. And that mess of cords. And then that has to divide my audio. And that actually serves as a compressor, if you will, to allow the audio to come in. Because the audio port in a computer most of the time is not an audio in. So that is a mixer. It's going to change that audio. And then finding that balance between getting it out crispy and perfect like it sounds in my ear versus getting out on the air is a chore. And I swear to you, it changes like every single game. Like I will come in here and not touch the board at all, and it has changed how it sounds. And I need you. I need you, Orb. I need you here in the building. I need a producer at all times because I need someone to take over this just the YouTube part for me, my man. But I do my best. But it's always good too if the audio's a little off. Pop us up on the app because the app is beautiful. It's beautiful. The radio's good, but YouTube's off. I know. I know you are. I know you are because you tell me all the time what's up. That's why you're good. I was just giving everyone the behind the scenes. Everyone the behind the scenes. That's why I appreciate you, son. It's just annoying because it changes. Because and Brendan and I have gone back here and we'll do a I'll test it and it sounds great. And then the minute we go live, part of it could even be the processing power of the computer, trying to process the audio and the stream at the same time. Might have to troubleshoot that a little bit, see if that's a problem. But it's annoying because it sounds so good in my ear right now. It sounds great on radio, and getting it to come over YouTube constantly perfectly is a chore. Now, when we're at home, the actual studio, then it's perfect, as long as Brendan's producing it on his side. But they are pretty when they're not red, Timmy. So there you go. That's your insight. It's all a balance. The unfortunate part, Orb, is my job is to. So keep in mind, before I got here, there was no YouTube, and the job is to make sure we're live on radio. So this is just the extra unneeded stuff, but it's fun. It's back like when spinners were on hubcaps. They served no purpose. You didn't need them, but they looked cool. YouTube looks cool, I guess. Uh-oh, here comes Brendan. What do you mean by that? Any comments about all the things we talked about, but in the light of changing ownership? I mean, exactly what are you referencing? So I'll give you an answer. Talking about roster, coaches, the fact that the bowl needs a refurb. maybe Dundon can get us a better YouTube audio. That'd be great.
Do you want me to hit Coach's Corner, or do you want to call for it?
Go ahead and hit it right out of the open, and then I'll toss to it.
Cool. It's 6 minutes. Do you want me to play the whole thing?
Heck no.
Okay. Copy that.
Timmy, let's see. It's a good question. So we're about 15 seconds back, Orb. I'll answer your question when we get back on air. Timmy chimes in, too. It says Steven Jackson is the best Beaver ever.
Not a lot of complaints. Or disagreements.
All right, welcome back into the fifth quarter. Chris Burkhardt here with you. It is time for the Coach's Corner, but before we play Tiago Splitter audio, I do want to answer a few questions that were asked during the break. The Orb on our YouTube channel, good conversation over there during the break. He asked, is there any comment on how ownership changes is altering kind of what's going on, whether it be developing Young Hansen or saving money because of not using an injury exception. And here's my answer for you. The honest answer is no, it's not impacting anything. The Young Hansen thing is they knew from day one that he was going to be a project. They knew he wasn't going to be a guy who was going to come in and have a massive impact on the rotation. Joe Cronin talked about it, that they want him with the team as much as possible. If that's not going to happen, then they're going to send him to the remix. He's had some time down there. I do think at some point, it's got to give a little bit to back to our conversation about maybe finding ways to get him on the court just a little bit more, even if it's every other game. Just I don't like the DMPs. Get him some minutes. I think that would be beneficial to him, especially in the situation now where you are so beat up and you need bodies. So I still don't think Dundon changes that. Now, to the other question you had about the injury exception, I'm glad you asked that because we got to clear the air on this one. There's a lot of people who have asked why Cronin hasn't used an injury exception because of all the injuries, the disabled player exception. Because they can't. One does not exist for the Blazers. A disabled player exception is only available when a player is out for the season due to the injury. No one on the roster fits that bill. Drew Holiday is not. Jeremy Grant is not. Matisse Thybulle is not. Blake Wesley is not. You're probably going, Chris, what about Damian Lillard? He is out for the year. That is the exception to the rule because Damian Lillard was signed after the injury occurred. That injury did not occur while he was with the Blazers and under contract with the Blazers. He was a known injured player when signed. Therefore, the disabled player exception does not come into play. They cannot use it because Damian Lillard is out for the year. That is basically the risk they took in knowing that that guy is going to take up a roster spot, and you cannot in any way find a relief for that player. Now, if Dame would have came in fully healthy and injured himself on game one, absolutely. Now you can go in and use that disabled player exception. But that's why they haven't used one. That's why they haven't used one, because there is not one to use. They have to be players that are out for the year, and that's just not the case with these guys. The question marks I have to your question are, is Scoot, when's he going to be back? Hopefully, my idea was always January 1st. We're getting close to that date. At least when I always thought January 1st was when we were probably going to get a much more definitive answer as to when he would actually return. So I'm still feeling that January is his return date, and hopefully that happens. Jeremy Grant, the whole day-to-day thing, that has turned into about a week or two. Hopefully he gets back soon. And Matisse Thybulle, you knew that was going to be a minute because of the injury, and then because of the surgery, and then Blake Wesley, obviously there's no faking there. If you remember the play that happened on, I watched it happen. I actually thought he rolled his ankle, didn't break his foot, but he took a shot. It was he came from right to left across the key, took a jump shot around the free throw line, and when he landed, it just all that impact on his foot. He instantly crumpled to the ground. I thought he rolled his ankle. He got up and tried to run, and then sat right back down. They called the timeout, subbed him out, and found out he broke his foot. And he'll be back. Sounds like All-Star break is kind of the timeline for him. So, yeah, that's why they can't use one. Also, well played, because he chimed in. He said, so you could say we hamstrung ourselves? But funny jokes. All right, that is the longest intro to the Coach's Corner of all time. Let's hear from Tiago Splitter.
I think, we stopped scoring. All the good work we did first half when we played fast and we moved the ball side to side, and we stopped doing that. I think, our defense also, we were getting steals and then running in the first half. Second half, we were taking the ball out of the net every time. And, playing against the set defense, they have athletes, they have, good defending players there and good defense players. Couldn't get anything with quality, to be honest. Danny didn't have the best night. That's about it.
How would you describe the impact Brook Lopez made in shooting?
Huge. Big time for them. Made 9 threes. We had DC protecting the rim a little bit. We ran and blitzed James Harden and Kawhi for many times in the first half. Second half, we had to stop doing it because he was hitting those threes on the swing pass, and it was big for them.
So do you think there was a big difference in shot quality between the first half and second half for you guys?
Yes. I think we moved the ball better. We shared the ball. We've tried to find the best shots. And sometimes we also miss open shots, which also happen. And then, stop making them, trying to stop sharing the ball, forcing a little bit more. We couldn't score at the rim. I think the big fella, the rookie, Giannis, made a good job protecting the rim there for a little bit. Brook Lopez is a very smart, big guy, knows how to protect the rim. We tried to get there, but couldn't find it.
What do you make of the
Who is the MVP tonight for the Trailblazers? It's time for Game Balls on Fifth Quarter, live from the Coors Light Studios. Coors Light, choose chill.
All right, there was Tiago Splitter, and it's time now to hand out a game ball. And, you look at the box score, see what happened. I mean, there's nothing in the rule book that says a game ball has to go to a Blazer player. I think on a night like tonight, when Brook Lopez pretty much kind of puts the team on his back a little bit, even though, James Harden scored 34 points, which, let me tell you what, that might have been the quietest 34-point game I've seen all season against the Blazers, because it did not feel like he had that many. But Brook Lopez, 9 of 16, 9 of 14 from beyond the arc. That is a career best 9 3-pointers. Almost became just the second center ever to hit 10 3-pointers in a game, the other being Karl Anthony Towns. Shout out to Brendan Slaughter for finding that stat while working with the Clippers radio crew tonight. But yeah, there's no rule that says it has to go to a Blazer player, and tonight I don't think it deserves to. I think sometimes you got to respect just good basketball, and Brook Lopez absolutely played well tonight. And you know what? I think it's my fault. Like, if you want to be honest, it's my fault. I made a joke in the pregame show about how we celebrated the 99-2000 team against Detroit, and I'm pretty sure that Brook Lopez was in the league back then. And then a texter chimed in and made a joke that if he remembers his basketball correctly, he saw Brook Lopez get blocked by Bill Walton one time. And so we made jokes about old man Brook Lopez, which also hurts my back, because Brook Lopez is old man in basketball terms, and he's 37, which is 2 years younger than I am. So what the hell does that make me? Karma sucks. I feel awful now, and it's my fault that he had a big game because I called him out as an old man center in the pregame show. So shout out for giving him bulletin board material. I'm probably the reason the Clippers won, if you want to be completely honest. Unfortunate. All right, that is going to do it for the fifth quarter tonight. The Blazers will be back in action on Sunday against the Clippers. Mark your calendars. It's an early tip-off. 3 p.m., which means I will have Blazers game day for you starting at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It is also the first of a back-to-back as the Blazers turn around and play the Dallas Mavericks on Monday, which is a later tip-off, 7:30 for that one. So 2 games coming up here with a little unorthodox tip-off time, so make sure your calendars are marked and ready to go. So once again, they will play again on Sunday, 3 o'clock. I will have game day for you starting at 1. Final score from Moda Center tonight. The Clippers storm back in the second half, grab a 119-103 victory over your Trailblazers. Thanks for tuning in. Rip City. I'll talk to you on Sunday.